Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Michelle, and today we have Neera on the show, who has just listed her business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Neera, good to have you on the show. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I want to thank you for making the time to come on today. I know this is a really busy time for you, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. So it's an Amazon FBA business in the occasions and gifts niche created in September 2015. The average revenue for the business is $71,025 per month, and it makes an average of $18,098 per month in net profit. So included in this sale is an Amazon Seller Central account with 64 SKUs, a domain, employee contracts, supplier contracts, and a trademark. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 61459 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we've heard about the business, let's hear from the owner. Neera, what can you tell us about your background in starting and running online businesses?
I have none, actually. I started this business about 8 years ago. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I wanted to get a steady stream of income from something that still allowed me to stay at home with my children. So I started like everybody else. I got on YouTube and joined some Facebook groups and learned the process along the way, from starting scratch on Amazon and building listings and taking pictures. So I have no experience, but I was able to bring all of it up to speed, I guess, 8 years later.
Wow, that is fantastic. It's so funny that when we speak to a lot of the sellers who say, this is my first business and I kind of just learned everything online. And then you see just fantastic success that they've had in building these. And, I'm curious, Neera, what attracted you to this particular niche?
Again, was a stay-at-home mom, so I attended a lot of birthday parties, events, functions that have to do with children, gifts. So what I liked about this niche was that what I was seeing out there was just gifts were junk, the party favors were junk. So what I wanted to do was create something that was more exciting. Instead of just getting the typical stuff, I wanted to create things that kids liked. And it started from there, basically, where I saw an opportunity to start something that was unique. All of my products are unique. I didn't want to do what the other Amazon sellers were doing, where you take something that's exciting and you slap your label on it and then call it your own. I wanted to do things that were different, and that was really important to me. So that's basically how I got started with this niche and why I like it. It's an underrated niche. I think it's not a lot of sellers are looking to sell these kind of items.
That's excellent. I really like that. So now that you've built it up and you've had it for 8 years, why have you decided to sell it now?
The reason I'm selling it is we're considering a move out of the country. My dad passed away recently, so we're looking to make some changes, and I think it's a good time for me to part. We wanted to travel out of the country for an extended amount of time, so this would just allow me to do all the things that I see coming up.
That is completely understandable. So, as you're looking back on the history of the business, what would you say was your biggest win since starting it? Is there something that, if you were to get back into the Amazon space later on in the future, that you would take from this business and apply to a future business?
You know what I considered the win was I didn't kind of follow the trend, I think. And I didn't follow any black hat tricks that are just, you see a lot of stuff. You see a lot of podcasts. You see a lot of things and selling on Amazon. But I kind of just took what I thought was good out of those things instead of just following the trends, following these tricks that you're supposed to do to get reviews. I just stuck by the simple philosophy. So I feel like that was the success. And again, the niche, not a lot of people are looking to sell these products. My products are well reviewed for that reason. I feel like I really focused on quality too. That was the second thing that was important to me. I'm proud of what I'm selling, and I didn't want to sell just anything. So the quality aspect was very important. I have every single product checked for that reason. And I think those are the things that made the business successful.
And on the flip side of that, what would you say was your biggest setback or challenge?
The biggest one, of course, was the pandemic. I think the logistics during the pandemic, the point where the world stood still, I think that was the biggest struggle for me. And since then, I kind of flatlined, or I was projected to do double that year. The first 2 months were amazing, and March hit and everything just went down. So I think that took a while to recover from. And I didn't start any new products during those 2 years. And now I'm finally starting to realize that, the business is able to go through these downs and still come back up. So I started new products this year after all that.
I know that a lot of the sellers that have come through in the occasions and gifts niche in particular have said that COVID was extremely hard for them in a way that it wasn't for other sellers. So I think other sellers, they dealt with sort of a standstill for about, a few months, and things were uncertain, shipping delays and whatnot, and just inventory delays in general. But I think the sellers in this niche really were affected because there was just a lack of anything for so long. So it's good to see you be able to bounce back from that. And I'm curious because you've mentioned that you really stand behind your products and you focused on quality. So do you do any product development with your suppliers?
Yeah, so these all ideas were generated by me. So I work through an example of kind of what I want, and then I go straight to the factory and I have them draw up what I'm thinking, and then we work through the size and create these molds that are for my products. So I definitely work with the designers and work with the employee I have in China to follow through with my design idea, I guess.
That is really cool. So, how are people finding your products? Are you using PPC, or do you have your listings SEO friendly?
Yeah, so I do use PPC. I want to note that I don't do it that well, but I do PPC. That is my main source of advertising. I do a lot of research on search terms. So it's the typical, you see where the product, you just pick 5 words and kind of build your listing from there. So it's all generated pretty much by myself, but the listing is advertised on Amazon via PPC. And again, that is the only thing I do. And as I mentioned, I don't do it well. I do the basics of PPC. So that is definitely a growth opportunity for the next person to take this and make it a little bit more well known.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that. What else do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
As I mentioned, advertising, I'm not good at it. A few years ago, I tried a Facebook ad, but I don't have an act for that. So I think marketing, definitely social media presence, Pinterest. I've had some people tell me that Pinterest would be a great idea for my products. And I have 4 new SKUs coming up, which I haven't, they're just in the works right now. So there's no listings for them yet. So that would be definitely the growth opportunity. I would also say a few small things like updating the listings with new pictures and videos. I only started to add videos this year. So I was in the process of doing that for all the listings, launching your own website or even selling on Walmart or other avenues would be a great idea. There was a few times where inventory was an issue for me. 2 months out of the last year, I basically struggled with that. So I think keeping on top of inventory a little bit better would be an opportunity for growth. And, of course, launching new SKUs. There's a lot of opportunity to be creative here. So I think launching new SKUs is definitely another idea as well.
And if we could just turn our focus for a second to your inventory and sort of your supply chain. Could you walk us through what your supply chain currently looks like?
Yeah, so my supply chain is actually super simple and very solid, I would say. I place an order, I place it directly with the factory. There is no middleman like Alibaba or some other person that I talk to. I'm able to do this because I have a person in China that I pay monthly, so an employee, and she's been with me since probably the beginning, but maybe not the first year. And I've built these relationships with these factories basically where we're able to order directly from them and negotiate low prices. Like some of my prices have not gone up for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm able to keep the MOQs low because of this. And we order directly from the factory and we pack all the products in house. So basically you order, then you pack products, then they're shipped straight to Amazon FBA. So nothing is touched by me. It goes straight to the Amazon warehouses. And I'm able to do this because of my employee in China. She's able to facilitate the whole process. And I've been to China many times. I visited these factories. I've seen my molds. So I have a really good relationship with most of the factories that we're in good standing because of that.
That's excellent. So, how often would you say that you're in contact with your suppliers?
So I myself am not in contact with my supplier. I don't speak to them. I order the products via my employee in China and she facilitates the whole process. She speaks the language. Some of these factory owners, they don't speak English. That's why there's usually a middleman. So she's able to go straight to the factory and just order these products.
And that makes sense. Could you talk to us a little bit about? I know that you had some inventory issues in November and December of this last year. So, what happened there?
That was my big holiday shipment. And what happened was that it was sitting at a port for the entire time. And basically, there was a delay in getting it off the ship, I guess, and getting through customs and things like that. So it was a huge delay for me. And I'm thinking a lot of sellers at that time. And usually, when there's a huge delay, I would airship a product if necessary. But it was kind of at the point where any day now we're going to be off the ship. So it was a point where I didn't really know exactly when the products were going to be released. So I didn't airship them for that reason. And it's expensive to airship during Christmas. So I kind of waited. I did the waiting game and it ended up being a lot longer. That's the longest it's ever took for supplies to get in. So it was a dip because of that reason.
That sounds like a very stressful situation. I totally understand where you're coming from. It's difficult because you don't want to sink more money into inventory when it can be released at any time. And I'm sure in hindsight, had you known when it first happened, how long it was going to take, that you might have ordered, but that's a difficult thing to gauge. So, Nira, what does a typical week look like for you while you're running this business?
So a typical week looks like, since I have children, I mostly work around that schedule. So I work about 15 hours, 15 to 20. I mostly do the customer service front of, and then look through the account, make sure it's in good standing. I also will go through inventory, check reviews, and these are the things that I do on a daily basis. And then I check the competitors, see if there's anybody else that came up. I check other products. I will do research on new things if I want, probably during the week. I also communicate with a China employee on a daily basis. So in the morning, we go back and forth with emails about what's coming up, what's ordered, what's packing. I plan shipments. So I'm telling her what to pack and I create labels for those shipments and then they go into, she ships them and then I do PPC. And once a month, I will probably deal with returns that customers have. And then Amazon sends to me and then I just repackage them or send them back.
All right. So, if you're looking toward the future, what do you think the biggest challenge would be for a buyer taking over this business?
I don't really see much challenges. The business is on autopilot. I pretty much talk to the employee in China and she's able to do any requirements that are coming up. I think the biggest challenge would be maybe getting to know the products since, I created them. I kind of know what they are, their sales history. So I would probably say that would be the biggest challenge, just getting to know what is coming up, what's needed to order. But that's, simple data from Amazon can do that, but that would take some time, I'm guessing.
Well, I think that it's excellent, with your employee in place, that really does simplify things for a buyer a lot. So, are you willing to commit to a non-compete for a new owner?
Yeah, definitely. I'm open to that if that is required.
And how much support are you offering buyers?
This is the first time I'm selling a business, so I'm not actually sure what is required or what is expected or what is wanted. So I'm open to that as well. I am definitely open to as much support as needed. I'm really good with email. So anytime or anything the buyer says, I'm open to that.
Yeah, that's understandable too. I mean, when you're selling a business, especially the first one that you've built, you want it to go as smoothly as possible. You want them to be successful.
Yeah, I'm definitely really proud of everything I sell. And they're kind of like my babies. So I definitely would be interested in helping the person grow this further.
Absolutely. And are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yeah, again, I'm open to that as well. I would prefer the cash route, but I'm definitely open to any kind of arrangement.
So, when you're putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
I'm really proud of the business. I've grown it from the ground up. I believe that it is a good business that will continue to do well. It stood the test of time for this many years. There's been inventory lows and all the products, they come back up. And I think it all has to do with the quality that I've presented, the themes that are part of the products. Most of the products they sell in a kind of a group if one person buys them since they're themed together. So I think that the business will continue to do well with little work. It requires little work at the moment. Starting the business was tough. The first 3 years it required a lot of work and there's no money. So I think at this point it's on autopilot with a lot of room to grow. So I think that it's a great place to start. My account is in good standing. I have a lot of good reviews, and the employee in China is amazing in terms of you can source any product you want with a low MOQ, and she is able to talk to these factories directly on the ground, and she facilitates everything, including storing the goods in China. So I have a huge inventory in China, about 4 to 6 months that she can ship at any time. And like I said, my account is in good standing. I'm also ungated in a lot of toys that I used to resell. So I think if somebody wants to resell some stuff, they can use the account. But in general, it's a good business that continually does well. There's peaks with certain products. So it's not just one product that's doing well all the time. And it's just something I'm really proud of. So I think any person that takes it over will do well with it.
Well, I think that's an excellent note to leave off on. Nira, I really want to thank you for coming on and giving us a little more insight into both you and your business. I really enjoyed this, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 61459. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.